Helping someone can feel like care, but helping becomes control, and it quietly costs you peace and growth. The core move the book describes is simple. Allow others to feel, choose, and own outcomes without trying to fix those outcomes for them. Stay with me to the end, and I'll tell you what I think, who this helps, and where it tends to fail in real life. Now, let's look at what letting actually means. Letting isn't giving up. It's deliberately allowing others to feel and make choices while you notice your own impulses. In the book's frame, that distinction is the heart of the practice. Influence without ownership. Imagine a parent tempted to redo a teenager's school project or a colleague who corrects someone's email before they send it. These are everyday moments that show how easy it is to move from help into control. The let them theory names this posture letting and defines it around influence and consequence rather than rescue. That matters because it separates your responsibility from someone else's learning. The book also makes clear that letting still requires courage and clarity. You're not stepping back out of indifference. That stance raises a predictable objection. Won't boundaries look like abandonment? Boundaries are not punishments. They're clear statements about what you will and won't do. In the book's frame, a boundary is a functional tool. It preserves your ability to be compassionate by making your limits visible. When you say what you will do and what you won't, you reduce the frantic cycle of rescuing that consumes time and energy. Communicate those limits calmly and consistently, and follow through with consequences you can actually enforce. That's how a boundary teaches, rather than shames. What changes if you accept boundaries as teaching tools is that relationships stop hinging on your emotional labor and start depending on mutual clarity. People often misread boundaries as coldness. The book reminds us that consistent limits are the structure that lets real compassion show up without burning you out. Emotional hygiene means tolerating feelings without trying to erase them. Feelings are temporary states that want to be experienced. The book frames this as a permission to let emotions run their course rather than rush to fix them. When you minimize or rescue someone's discomfort, you block their chance to learn how to sit with hard feelings, and you often prolong the distress instead of resolving it. Your role is to provide safe containment, presence, steady attention, and sometimes a boundary, not a quick fix. Letting emotions unfold before offering advice changes the dynamic. People feel heard, and you stop becoming the therapist of every minor upset. That practice preserves empathy and invites others to develop their own capacity to tolerate discomfort. Language shifts the whole pattern. Stop fixing, start asking. In the book's terms, questions create ownership. Asking, "What do you want next?" invites agency, whereas telling people what to do keeps responsibility on you. Use short, clear statements about your needs instead of long, persuasive speeches. Brevity respects both parties and makes decisions easier. Reflect and mirror feelings to show understanding before offering solutions. That signals presence and reduces defensiveness. Avoid unsolicited advice. Instead, offer options and let the other person choose which, if any, to accept. What's tricky is turning those conversational moves into habit so they don't feel awkward or withholding. The point the author presses is that simple language shifts are the behavioral hinge between rescuing and letting. Habits make the theory practical. The book gives small, repeatable practices that make letting automatic rather than theoretical. Start with a pause. 5 deep breaths before you respond to a request or crisis calms your reactivity and opens choice. Use a gentle script. State a boundary, give a brief reason, and offer an alternative if appropriate. The script reduces drama and keeps interactions clean. Try tiny experiments where you let someone solve a minor problem without stepping in. These low-stakes trials teach both of you how learning happens. Finally, reflect weekly on where you rescued and where you let growth occur. That review sharpens your sense of when help heals and when it hinders. In the book's frame, these routines are the scaffolding that turns intention into consistent behavior. Change invites resistance. Expect it and name it. The book anticipates predictable responses when you stop rescuing: fear, anger, pleading, or testing limits. Naming those reactions calmly, "I notice you're upset," or "I hear you asking me to step in," reduces their power and keeps you anchored. Consistency matters. If you waver, people learn to keep testing boundaries until they find an opening. When old habits keep pulling you back into rescuing, seek support or coaching. External accountability helps make new patterns stick. In the book's language, resistance is part of the transition, not a sign that the move is wrong. Stay steady, and you teach others a new norm through your persistence. Practiced over time, letting produces deeper competence and more authentic relationships. The book argues that people grow more responsible when they're given space to fail and learn, and that authenticity replaces performative compliance. You conserve energy for what truly matters because you are no longer carrying other people's development as a default task. Small shifts in personal behavior ripple outward. Communities that practice letting tend to be more resilient and creative, since members are trusted to solve problems and take ownership. In the book's frame, this is the cultural payoff: healthier norms that model self-trust rather than dependence. That cumulative change takes patience, but it's where the practice shows its long-term value. Who this helps most are people who habitually rescue others and want a clearer way to care without losing themselves. The book frames letting as an act of love, not surrender. Where it tends to fail is predictable. People can misread boundaries as abandonment, or they can use letting as an excuse for disengagement. Both are distortions the author warns against. The most solid takeaway is that influence is different from ownership. You can show up with empathy and limits, and that combination creates space for growth. If you try one small move this week, what will you let someone handle on their own?